and welcome back to 2020 CQ, the AWS Certification Quiz Show, Season 2, thanks to you guys' support. So thank you so much. We're back for episode 1, and I'm here with the ridiculously talented Chris Howard. Chris, tell us and our viewers a bit about what you do here at AWS.
First of all, thank you. I mean, kicking off the season, no pressure or anything.
I didn't bully you to be here at all.
You 100% bullied me. 100%. Twisted my arm. So my name is Chris. Chris Howard. I'm a solutions architect manager here at AWS. I've been here about a year and a half now, fastest year and a half of my life.
I got a whole year on you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But I lead a team of very talented solutions architects, many of whom have been on the show last season.
They have indeed.
Some of whom are going to be on the show this season, maybe next week. And we work with customers, a lot of small to medium businesses across Australia, thousands of customers, and across a really big range of industries, just helping them take advantage of the cloud to accelerate their business, save money, become more resilient.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
I've
really cool.
loved having your team on the show, so I'm really glad we finally get you. So tell us, Chris, you're a bit of a community legend around here. What does 2020 look like for you?
Yeah, I do a lot of speaking and stuff like that. It's something I really enjoy doing. So my next big event is we have the AWS Innovate online conference, AI ML edition, coming up in 2 weeks, and I was invited to help do the closing keynote with Dean Samuels. And the opening keynote is being done by legends Olivier Klein and Glenn Gore. I am in really revered company here, so just stressing a little bit about that. But that's an online conference, so everybody around the world will be able to watch that. That is coming up just in a couple weeks in the middle of February. So if you go and look it up online.
Well, we'll get producer John to put it in the chat for everyone as well.
That's
if you're
really
interested.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm doing a talk for Sydney Summit. The AWS Sydney Summit is coming up at the end of March, beginning of April, which is a huge event here locally in Australia. I'm giving a newbie's guide to getting started on AWS for people who are brand new to the cloud.
And I don't know if you know this, but I think I'm introducing you.
Are you really?
Yes.
Oh, good. Love that.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So many good things coming up.
So many.
Chris, tell us a bit about where we are today.
Oh, well, we are...
Guests pick.
Yes, we are a bit of a space nerd. We are currently orbiting the Earth. At a height of,
I thought there was something going on here.
Yeah. 400 kilometers, that's 250 miles in my old language. Whizzing around the Earth very fast aboard the International Space Station. So I am Commander Chris today with pilot, your Commander MJ, and I am visiting cosmonaut Chris.
I love it. Are you ready, more importantly, to go through some associate level solution architect questions today with me?
I'm very excited to do that with you today,
Yeah?
MJ. Yeah.
Awesome.
Super stoked.
Let's make a start, shall we, with question 1. And just a reminder for everyone online, please feel free to vote through using our online poll. Just type in the number of the answer you think it is, and we'll check in with the poll as we go along.
Sweet. Cool.
All right. Here we go. Question 1. We're going to start with a bit of backup and recovery. It's just down your alley.
Yes, exactly.
Here we go. All right, Chris, you have an Amazon EC2 instance running a business application and an SQL server database. How can you protect against data loss in case of instance failure?
Okay, well, I'll start by saying that disaster recovery and backup is often one of the first conversations we have with people who are just getting started on the cloud.
This is quite common.
It is. It's really common. And you talk to people and you ask them about their backup plan, and you see them sort of turn white, and they talk about tapes that go off to black holes, and so it's often a really good starting point for people. So first of all, here right here with this question, I'd say running the application and the database on the same instance is a big no-no. That's probably the simplest thing you really want to not do when you move to the cloud. We want to eliminate single points of failure for high availability. So let's break those up.
Get the database out of it.
Yeah. And so looking at this question, the key thing is probably the data loss there. And so, I mean, options 1 and option 2, that 5 minutes. Can you really deal with 5 minutes worth of loss?
Data loss? That's pretty big.
Most businesses probably wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
The obvious answer is option 3, because you just literally take the multi-AZ option in Amazon Relational Database Service, and you've got that covered. So it's the simplest answer, it's the easiest answer, it's the right answer.
Do you want to explain multi-AZ?
Well, it means you're going to have zero data loss. You just do it in a few. If something fails over, it's going to fail over within a few minutes. You're not going to have any data loss. So, and you don't have to do the work. Like some of the other options here involve a lot of extra work.
They're pretty manual
as well.
Yeah.
And we don't want to have to do that.
So locking in number 3.
Locking in number 3.
Let's check in on the polls. 100% agreeance.
Fantastic.
So it's looking pretty good, Chris.
Got some very
to kick
smart
us off.
people with me today.
Let's check it out. It is, of course, question number 3. That's how it works.
All right,
That's
easy.
How it,
All right,
yeah?
first one under
Feeling
my belt.
better?
Good. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to question number 2. Jumping into a bit more of EC2.
Great.
Chris, you wish to provide developers with temporary Amazon EC2 instances that will automatically terminate after 24 hours. How can this be implemented?
Oh, this is a great idea. I mean, I think an early cost optimization conversation that we have is turning machines off when you're not using them, not leaving stuff running. So this is a really good question for that. I mean, looking at the options we've got here, that's not what spot instances are for, so we can pretty much discount that. Spot instances.
Well, also they can be turned off at any point,
exactly,
right? So
exactly. So you wouldn't want that. Step function, EC2 task, I don't think that is a thing. I'm pretty sure that's not a thing. So I think that's
we didn't catch her out.
What do you call that? Like a distraction or something?
So that's what we call a distractor in the
distractor.
answers. So there's often going to be something there that makes you think, and trying to get you to think about it. What is that? Should be that where I'm going to?
Yeah. I mean, I think you can have a Lambda turn off in instance, but there's no EC2 task.
As in EC2 task, that's not.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. I think the option 3 is the right one because you actually, it's very simple to do when you launch your instance. You can actually, I do think there is one thing there you want to note is when you set up when you configure the shutdown, it defaults to shutdown, but you want to change it to terminate, and then that actually terminates it. Because shutting it down,
in the console, right?
You're still going to be able to turn it back on, but if you actually want to terminate it, which is what the question said, you want to change that default behavior. So I'm going to go with number 3 with that little asterisk.
Locking in number 3. No one has gone for number 3.
What? People? What are you doing?
They've actually gone with number 1.
Well, maybe it's because of that little asterisk I said.
Potentially, they've gone with the tag. Do you want to talk us through number 1 and why people might have gone for that one, Chris?
Well, it would need Lambda to do that, to actually turn it off. Yeah. So, number 3 is just easiest. And often in these questions, you're going for the most optimal solution.
Well,
there might be
exactly
answers
right.
that can work with extra work. But
it's actually a great tip for our exams, Chris. So often the questions are looking for the best solution from all the answers that are given. So you might have more than one that can do what you're looking them to do. But you're absolutely right. So that's a great tip of the day.
Keep it simple, stupid, pretty
Locking
much.
in number 3. Woo, we got it.
Good.
All right, jumping through to question number 3. We're racing through this already.
Let's
I can't
slow
believe
down.
We're back.
Let's take a breath. Oh my gosh.
Have some water, Chris. We're back. This is it, episode 1.
I did just pound a coffee before we did this. All right.
Oh, okay, so my question number 3 doesn't match what is on the screen. Do excuse me while I try and find the right question 3. I'll just read it off the screen.
Yeah, we'll do
Have
it
you
on
got
that.
this? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. You wish to mitigate a legacy application to Amazon EC2.
Migrate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That uses multicast to communicate between servers. How can you implement this in Amazon VPC?
Okay. As we discussed before the show, networking is kind of my kryptonite.
This is true.
I do recognize multicast because we last year announced that Transit Gateway now supports multicast. So that to me is, because I know that was a recent announcement, is probably the right answer.
December last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think before that, number 4 would have been the right answer, but now it is available. So I'm pretty sure via Transit Gateway. So I'm pretty sure number 2, and multicast, as I understand it, is serving a single stream of data to lots of computers at the same, lots of machines at the same time.
Someone's been doing their research.
I might have read Jeff Barr's blog posts are great for this stuff. So I might have done a
really
little
good tip.
blog post on multicast.
So we're locking in
number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Yes, we have 50% agreeing with you on the online poll, so it's looking good. Number 2. Thank you so much for our out of order question.
You're just keeping me on my toes today.
It's just what we like to do here on CQ. So let's jump. Here we go. This
more
was
networking.
My original.
More networking. Great. Let's do it.
Chris actually preempted this whole thing by telling me that networking was her kryptonite. I just don't know what's going on here.
and you just keep giving them to me. Fine.
I love it. All right, let's have a look at, how excited. IPv6.
IPv6.
You ready?
All right, cool.
All right, Chris, you have an Amazon VPC with public subnets and private subnets. You have been asked to enable IPv6 on the VPC. What VPC component would you use to ensure that Amazon EC2 instances in the private subnets can access the internet via IPv6?
Okay.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
It is. It is. All right. So here's how I would tackle this question, not being
Break it down.
a networking guru. Let's eliminate what we know is wrong.
Awesome.
Okay?
Let's do that.
So I'm fairly certain that 3 and 4 are wrong. So on 3, the NAT gateway needs to be in your public subnet. So easy, cross that one out. And then number 4, the route tables that you update would actually be in the private subnet. So we can eliminate those 2.
And I think that's trying to lead us down a wrong alley, right?
I think
that's
so.
IPv4.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Those would be IPv4 if they were correct. That would be, if they were wrong anyway. Who writes these things? Who writes them?
Producer John.
Okay, source destination check, I actually don't know very much about, so I'm going to skip over that one for the moment. Egress only internet gateway. I do know that this is an IPv6 thing. I do know that it is a way, because with IPv6, everything has a public IP address, because we now have. I think producer John told me IPv6, something like his favorite anecdote is every person on Earth could have enough IP addresses to have their own internet, something like that, which is a really vivid image.
Yes, it is.
So I know, and so if they all have public IP addresses, you need to keep the internet from getting to them, to the ones that you don't want. And so you use the egress-only internet gateway. So I'm fairly certain that's it. I'm pretty sure it's not source destination check, but this is one where I'm a little bit taking a guess on number 1.
Well, if you're guessing, so are 100% of our online viewers.
Ooh,
so that's a good sign.
I can phone a friend. And look like my friends are agreeing with me here.
Let's have a look. We'll close that poll, and the answer is indeed number 1.
Good.
Kryptonite?
Yeah.
Or not? Doing pretty good.
I need to do more study.
All right, let's move on to question number 5, Chris.
Love cost optimization.
Bringing it back to,
Yeah.
okay, awesome.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Chris, your company is running an Amazon EC2 workloads that frequently move across multiple regions, instant types, and operating systems. What pricing option would minimize costs with such variable workloads?
Well, again, shout out to Jeff Barr and his wonderful blog post, because he has an amazing blog post on savings plans, which we introduced at the end of last year.
December as well, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Because, reserved instances, we still have reserved instances, and they're a great option for a lot of people, but savings plans give you a lot more flexibility, especially if you're moving across, and the keywords in the question, the regions, the instance type, and the operating systems.
Flexibility being
key. So
Yeah.
compute savings plan there, which is you commit to a certain amount of compute per hour, and you lock in some great discounts. So I'm fairly certain that is the right answer.
You don't even want to
I
look
don't
at
even
the other,
really.
no?
I mean, you look at the other. No, it's definitely number 3.
All right, locking in number 3. Almost everyone on the poll.
Oh, somebody disagrees. What are they saying?
On demand.
On demand? Well, that's not going to be minimizing costs. I mean, you're running workloads that frequently move. You probably have an idea of your usage.
You would think
if
so.
it was brand new, maybe, and you had no idea, but I'm going to still stick with savings plan.
Another great point as well in terms of how you read the question.
Yeah.
So, yep, all right. What about...
The flexibility of the savings plan? Yeah, well... having read Jeff's blog post, because my understanding is you don't even have to use all the compute in that hour. Like, you can make it up in another hour as well. And I think it's up to 72% savings. I read on that.
As long as you're spending a certain amount per hour.
Yeah, and that's across,
Great
I think,
discount.
EC2, Fargate, different stuff. It's not just, you don't have to lock it in. If you're using RIs, you really have to coordinate how you purchase them, how you exchange them. And so savings plans are just going to be a lot easier for a lot of people.
Great. Locking in, number 3, compute savings plan is indeed correct. You do realize you've got them all right so far, including
I did guess
oddball one.
I was guessing on the other one there.
All right, moving on to question number 6. We are flying through these.
Slow down.
Route 53. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your company is running multiple Amazon EC2 instances. Each instance has a DNS name defined in Amazon Route 53. Users are reporting that DNS names sometimes do not work after the instance has been stopped and started. How could this be remedied?
All right. So I think this I know this one and I have done a fair bit of work myself. I have a few websites I run and use Route 50. Yes, I do, and use Route 53 for that as well. But basically, an instance has an IP address, but when you shut that instance down, that IP address goes back into the pool basically, and you get a new one when it comes back. So that's probably the problem that's happening, is the DNS isn't pointing to the right IP address anymore. And the way you fix that is an elastic IP address, because that stays the same. You can actually, even if the instance behind it changes, the IP address, you can reassign it, and so the IP address is always going to be the same.
So we're looking for something with an elastic IP. Should we have a look at some of the answers?
I mean, you could go in and put a new name every time the instance changes. I don't want to do that. You could do that, but yeah, that's the right answer, is number 3.
Lucky in number 3. Again, we didn't get 100%. We've had someone go for number 1, Route 53, to use the instance ID instead of the IP address.
I don't think you can.
No. Okay, good. We're on the same page.
I'm pretty sure that's not a thing.
And number 3 it is. All right, moving on to, another question 6. Apologies, that should say question number 7. Everybody? All right.
It's episode 1. It can only go up from here.
What's
Let's
a few
be
typos
honest.
between friends?
Working the bugs out. It's good.
We're looking at SQS. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. I love SQS. One of my favorite services.
Every guest we've had on the show has said how much they love.
I use SQS. I've built some applications that use SQS.
Tell us about it.
Oh, you want to hear about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
So you mentioned before I do a lot of work in the community. So in Australia, and so I wanted to know, whenever I go to a new city, because I do a bit of travel, what are the tech meetups on in that city? And meetup.com is a great source for this information. But I actually wanted to build my own calendar that I could subscribe to.
I do know the one. We have talked. Yep.
Yeah, and so I built a little serverless application that kicks off each morning. It goes and gets information on all the groups in a given city, and then puts them into a queue. And then I have a Lambda that actually goes through that queue and actually gets the events for each group and puts them in a DynamoDB and creates a table. So I use the queue to actually hold those messages. And because, I'm using a downstream third party, I really want to make sure I'm not throwing too many requests at them. So this way I can actually control the rate at which I'm actually sending off my requests to them.
That's awesome.
So yeah, use SQS.
You're all about making things simple, right?
It's a really simple thing to do.
Let's jump in and have a look at the question. Okay, so in this instance, Chris, your application is receiving messages via SQS. High priority messages should be processed before low priority messages. How would you architect a solution? Oh, this is like written for you. How would you architect a solution to handle this?
Well, I'm pretty sure that priority is not something that SQS handles out of the box, because I know you can do first in, first out. You can do last in, first, but you cannot do priority. So I think anything with like the priority, you can have attributes, but I'm fairly certain you can't request messages based on an attribute. They sort of come back either in order or pretty much at random. No tagging of priority, that's not going to be a thing. And so I think you're probably going to have to go to 2 queues. So there's 2 answers that say 2 queues. But number 1 is going to be the right one. And the
just makes sense.
Yeah, the image I have is like, think of it as like at the airport. You've got like the are you platinum? You have like the frequent flyer platinum. You get to go to the front of the queue. That's basically what we're talking about. That's basically what we're talking about. That, the high priority, there's a separate queue, and also if that queue's empty, then those people can actually take from the other queue. So that would be the way that I would do it.
I feel like I'm not going to forget that analogy.
And when you request messages, so number 4 is wrong as well, because when you request messages, you say what queue. So yeah, it's not going to be that.
So you're locking in number 1?
I'm going to lock in number 1.
We have most people agreeing with you, locking in 2 queues. Let's reveal our answer. It is, of course, number 1. I would have been pretty worried if you got that one right.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good. Don't want to disappoint you here, MJ.
Aw. We have the best guests on CQ. All right, we're jumping into S3.
Yeah.
How's your storage?
I've been doing a machine learning project lately and have been doing a fair bit. I'm a knitter in my hobby in my spare time, and I wanted to try and see if I could use a machine learning algorithm to identify different knitting patterns, to reverse engineer knitting stitches.
I'm actually pretty disappointed you didn't wear one of your ensembles today.
It's summer in Australia.
This is
I'd
true.
like to point out.
This is true.
Yeah, and so I crowdsourced my data, and so I had knitters taking photos of their knitting and sending them to me, and I actually set up a workflow where they landed in an S3 bucket, and then I could do some processing on them. So I know a little bit about this.
Wow.
A little bit about this.
Okay, here we go. Let's have
Yes,
a
it wasn't
look
using
at
FTP, which I think this question is about, but yeah, okay.
Feeling pretty confident.
I'm
over
feeling
there.
pretty confident.
You have the look. All right, your company has replaced a legacy SFTP server with an AWS transfer for SFTP.
Yeah.
When a new file is uploaded, you want to run an AWS Lambda function that processes that file. How can you configure this to happen?
Okay, so the actual question part doesn't mention the FTP. When a file is uploaded, so I think the FTP is a distractor, is unnecessary information. I don't think it actually makes a difference how the file gets into S3, because you're just triggering the Lambda to run on it. So,
we can't get anything past you
no,
today.
so I don't think that's important. And so what I would do here, what do we got? We got S3 events, we've got CloudWatch events, we have, okay, you could run look, number 4, you could run a Lambda on a schedule. You could set up a CloudWatch event and run it on a schedule, but why not just do it as soon as they land in the S3 bucket? Why wait and batch them up?
That's what we want, right?
So you could do that. That's not optimal. I mean, number 2 is the easiest one, is you can actually use S3 as a trigger for a Lambda. I know that I've done that, so I'm pretty sure that's it. But number 1, let's just look at the others for safety. So number 1 mentions the FTP, which again, don't think we can discount that. And number 3, create a CloudWatch events trigger on the bucket to trigger the. Well, that's kind of the same thing as number 4, I think. Yeah, so I don't think it's that. It's definitely number 2.
Locking in number 2. Configure Amazon S3 events to trigger the AWS Lambda function.
Love building serverless applications.
I feel like you could have written that sentence. Let's check if she's right. Of course she is. Number 2 it is. And our poll's actually gone really well today. Most people are getting it right, so I'm really happy to see that.
Well, they watched season 1.
Maybe.
I know what they're doing.
If you've got any questions, by the way, everyone who's watching us, please feel free to pop it in the chat, and I'm happy to hand it off to Chris. Moving on to the last question of the day.
Yeah. Oh, are we at the end already?
We literally
Holy
are on to
moly.
our last
Okay.
question.
All right.
Which is just
Flown
crazy.
by.
I am.
Oh, okay. That's still S3. There we go.
All right. Your company is creating a website that will be used by thousands of users. How would you implement login authentication for these users?
Okay, this is another one I've done. I like to tinker in my spare time.
I'm getting that impression.
Yeah, so last year I built a little website. I wanted to have a contest for my friends to predict who was going to win the Oscars. So, which is actually this week. I didn't do it this year. I did it last year. And so I built a little website, but I wanted people to be able to change their predictions over time, so they needed to be able to log in to the site. So I actually did this, and I used Cognito to do that, which is
what is Cognito?
So Cognito is our service that actually does this. It allows you to set up authentication pools and identity pools so that people can log in. You really don't want to be creating, I can tell you right now, 1 and 2, you don't want to be creating IAM users for these people. No, you really don't want to be doing that. It's not for end users. It's only for your, not for my, like if I had someone else helping me with the project, not going to be doing that.
That's tricky what they've done there, because normally I find that if you've got 2 answers that sound the same, it's going to be one of those.
One of them.
So it's trying to draw us
yeah,
in.
that's true. That's true, actually.
Yeah. What about Secrets Manager? What's that, Chris?
I've used Secrets Manager, actually. I mean, Secrets Manager is where you would put something like an API key or something like that you need in your application, and you want to keep that secure, but it's not for storing user passwords or something like that. So
actually a pretty easy
I think
elimination
once you eliminate
process.
those, it's definitely going to be Cognito, and that's explicitly what Cognito is for. So.
Awesome. Not quite 100%.
Easy ones.
Well, I'll just have to make a note and make sure they're much more complicated.
Yeah,
next time that you've just offered to come on the show.
Sorry, you know who.
All right, let's just make sure you were right.
Okay,
you never know what could go
I get it wrong.
And of course, 100%. Thank you, Chris, so much for being with me here today for the first episode.
Thank you to my very talented team who have taught me pretty much all this stuff. So I've learned from some of the best here at Amazon, some of my amazing colleagues.
It's so true, and I absolutely can't wait to see them down the line on the rest of it.
I'm going to encourage them all to come on your show.
Please tune in next week, everyone, for Season 2, Episode 2, with a returning special guest from Season 1. Yeah, and another look at the Associate Level Solution Architect exam. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Good luck, everybody.